it going, everybody? So today I just wanted to show you one of the custom homes that we're building. It's a beautiful September day out here. Perfect day to frame this custom home. This home was definitely designed from the ground up, and the homeowners, who are friends of mine, they actually came to me with the plan. They had something that they already kind of had drawn up, and you know, we do things that way, or we do things where people will come in and kind of tell us what they're looking to do, and then we can draw something up for them, or we can find something online. Whatever it is, we're full on custom. So they wanted certain features in their house, like 2-story ceilings, and they're going to have a cathedral ceiling that runs from the front of the house all the way back. So as soon as you walk in the front door, you're going to have like a 24-foot tall peaked cathedral ceiling, and that peak is going to carry all the way through to the back of the house. You can see that peak wall on the back of the house there. And then of course a beautiful wooded lot. So just amazing views that they're going to have here. But let's go take a look at the site. And there was a walnut that just dropped and scared me. But let's go take a look at the site, the house, and kind of talk about a couple different things. All right, so before anything was here, we met out at the property, determined where we wanted the house to be. There was really only one spot. This property had like a high spot right here, kind of like a mounded up area, and that's where we determined we wanted the house. They wanted to have some daylight exposure on the back of the house, so in order to do that, we pretty much set the house on top of the hill, we'll call it. Now the hill was a lot smaller than the footprint of the house. So we found the highest spot of the little hill, and we said, okay, that's gonna be our floor elevation there. And then when we pour the foundation, you've got parts of the foundation that are sticking up above the ground quite a bit. Because again, that hill, let's say that the top of the hill has an area that's like 50 by 50. Well, this house has a footprint that is, it's like 100 feet wide, and it's probably about 80 feet deep with how the garage comes out of the front, the side entry garage. So this garage ended up sitting up over onto kind of a spot on the property where the ground was at that level down there. So when we put in the foundation here, the foundation was up out of the ground almost 8 feet. And so then what we do is we take and we fill in around that. So now the entire house sits on the high point of the property. Everything is leveled out around the property. So here's their driveway. Kind of see as we pan around this way. See how the driveway kind of slopes down there. So we're kind of coming up onto the hill here, and big level driveway here that's going to come into the garage here. So it is a really big garage. It has 3 10-foot wide by 8-foot tall garage doors. It's really the same size as like a 4-car garage, but it's just got the 3 doors. Got lots of windows in here, which is really nice. And then we do have a staircase from the garage going down into the basement, which is awesome. If you got stuff that you want to bring inside and outside after change of seasons, you've got this staircase that goes right down into the basement, which is such a nice feature. As we come up into the house, so we're in our mudroom area here. No interior walls framed yet, but this is kind of the mudroom area. This is the kitchen area back in here. There's a door that goes out to what will be a really large covered porch and also a screened-in porch with an outdoor fireplace. You can see the we've got the footings in place here, so that's where the covered porch is going to end up going. And then I referenced before, you know, so when you walk in the front door of the house, which will be right here, there's going to be a peaked 2-story ceiling. That peak's going to follow all the way to the to the back here, and look at those windows. So I've got to say, I got a window wall exactly like this in my house, and the coolest thing is just sitting. I've got it in my sunroom, but sitting in that sunroom and being able to see, like in this case, you're going to see all the birds flying around in the trees. You're going to see geese flying overhead. I mean, it's just an amazing view out of the back of the house here. And then where all of the other windows are lined up there, that's their great room. So they got great room. They've got like a dinette eating area, and then that flows all the way to the foyer here. And then what you don't see right now is there will be a second floor. So there is going to be kind of like a loft overlook area, and there will be bedrooms upstairs as well. But yeah, just wanted to kind of share a little bit of, I know it looks like that wall is leaning, but it's not. It's just the way that my camera is set here. Just wanted to share a little bit. You know, I do all kinds of talking head videos, and I guess maybe I'm just proving to you that I really am a home builder here, and we really do build houses. So this is just one of you know, 10 different homes that we've got under construction, and they're all pretty custom. I mean, we specialize in building custom homes, and this is one of the custom builds that we started. We started this about a month ago, and this is kind of where we're at right now. Maybe a little more than that, maybe about a month and a half ago. So one of the challenges with building a home in the woods and on rolling terrain, you know, so there's a couple different challenges, but you know, one of the challenges is not really being able to visualize how the house is going to look after the basement gets put in. So one of the issues that we had here, you know, so we met on site multiple times. We went over you know, where the house was going to be. One of the things that you want to do when you've got a wooded property, or any property really, especially when it comes to a larger scale property, is once you determine with the client where you want the home to be, we have our surveyor come out and do a rough stake. So they're basically going to put a number of stakes in the ground indicating the shape of the house, and then we and the client, we can come back out, we can meet, and we can verify that we are good with the placement of the home. So we did that. We verified that we were good with the placement of the home. Now, like I said earlier in the video, this home was built on a little hill. The hill, like the top of the hill was probably like, you know, the high point of that hill was probably like 30 by 30. That house is 100 by, you know, 75 feet deep. So only a small part of that house is going to be sitting on the natural hill that was there. So if the natural hill is here, and you know, the middle of my house is sitting on the natural hill, that's great. Well, what about, you know, if I'm 30 feet across on the hill? Well, what about, you know, going 50 feet this way and 50 feet this way? Those parts of the house are not sitting on the hill. So when we put the basement in, so we say, okay, this is where our floor height's going to be. And even though the ground drops, you know, between here and here, let's say the ground drops, you know, 6 feet, then when I'm pouring my foundation for the house and I'm now framing the house, the floor is right here on top of the hill, but on the portions of the property where the grade dropped back down by 6 feet, well, now the floor of the house is sitting 6 feet above the virgin ground that was there. So when we pour the basement, your basement walls are sticking 6 feet out of the ground in certain areas. So you go to the house, you're all excited, you got your basement, you go to the house, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Like, the house is jacked up out of the ground. This isn't right. It's hard to visualize how that's going to be. You're looking at that little part of the hill and you're saying, yep, this is where the house is going to sit. We're going to have natural slope in the back. But what you're not visualizing right off the bat is that, okay, when we go to the far right side or left side of the house, or the far front side of the garage in this case, because the garage sticks out 40 feet in front of the rest of that house. And where the front of the garage is, where the frontmost part of that garage is, that was a grade that was about 6 feet lower than what the top of that hill was. So when we pour the foundation, the top of the foundation walls, and garage walls in this case, are 6 feet out of the ground. So then when the excavator comes to backfill the foundation, well, now he takes all the dirt that we dug out of the hole, he builds it up around the foundation walls, but now you've got like a drop off between the ground level that's right in front of the garage and the rest of the property. So typically what you would do with a wooded lot, you would have to clear more trees, because in order to if I've got ground level right here in front of the garage, and then I've got a drop off of 6 feet, well, I don't want that. I don't want a cliff. I want a nice smooth gradual grade. Well, in order to do that, I got to be able to feather out and extend out the grade. I got to bring more dirt in. I'm going to need to clear more trees. So with this property here, the clients did not want to clear. They wanted the least amount of trees removed as possible. So that was just a little bit of a challenge as well. Typically, if you're going to build in the woods, a general rule of thumb is, once you determine where your house is going to go, any trees that are within 30 feet of the footprint of the house should get cut down. Because in an instance like this, you're putting in the foundation, you're going to have dirt that needs to be pitched away from the foundation. And so if you have trees that are closer than 30 feet, those trees kind of get buried down at the bottom of the tree, or there's just not enough room for the house to be built. The excavator needs to have a certain amount of room when he's using his backhoe to dig the hole. And the concrete company needs to have a certain amount of room in order to put in the walls, and the framer needs to have a certain amount of room to drive his machine around and store lumber around the house. So you need to have a certain amount of room there. So that's a good rule of thumb. If you're building on a wooded lot, plan on, before the excavation starts, get the house rough staked and clear. You can mark all the trees then that are within 30 feet of the house. And maybe, like, if you want more of an open backyard and you don't want the property to be as wooded, well, then you can go out further than that. You can mark additional trees, or maybe there's some dead trees on the property as well that are somewhat close to the house. So this is kind of the part in the process in which it's a good idea to just get those removed now. So the timeline of things that happened is, we first got a survey on paper. We looked at everything on paper. We had a topographical survey done, so we knew what all the grades were. The homeowners did want to have exposure with the house. We want to put the house on the highest part of the property. That's pretty much general rule of thumb as well in most cases, is house on high ground. So we place the house on paper, and then we have the surveyor come out and rough stake where the house is shown on the paper, so that we can all confirm, yes, we're good with that spot. It's a wooded property, so then we're going to go ahead, we're going to mark all the trees that are within 30 feet of the foundation. The tree removal guy is going to come out there and cut those trees down. Now it's ready for the excavator to come in and dig the hole. And this is just a little bit of a detail, but the excavator actually pulled out all of the stumps. So usually if you hire somebody to come in there and cut the trees, stump removal is a whole nother thing, and if the excavator is going to be there to dig the foundation, he's got a big machine there, so he can either push, he can get rid of those stumps if he's going to be there anyways. He will charge additional to do that. In this case, I think it was right around $1,500 to remove all the stumps, because a lot of times you can't just remove the stumps and bring them to a fill site with the rest of the dirt that you need to get rid of. They don't accept those at a fill site, so you either have to bring them to a special fill site, or you can't really burn them. They're all covered in dirt, and so in a lot of cases you have to get a dumpster out there, and you put the stumps in a dumpster, and then you haul them to somewhere that will actually take the stumps. So that's part of what needs to happen in the process before the excavator starts. And then the excavator comes out, he digs the hole, concrete company comes out, they pour the foundation, and then the excavator, after the steel beams get set, the steel I-beams, the excavator is going to come back out, and that's when they're going to fill in around the foundation, and they're going to do what's called a rough grade. So they're basically going to get things to a point to where we've got level ground, we've got enough room to work with all the way around the house so that it can be built, and everybody's got room to do what they need there. And then they'll come back at the very end and do a finish grade where they'll really smooth everything out and maybe add some more contours and kind of, if there's some additional things that the client wants done, that finish grade is the point in time in which they would come back out to do that. So and then once it's backfilled, the next thing is framing, and just another little tip, it could be 3 weeks between the time that you get your foundation backfilled or your slab on grade poured. Could be 3 weeks between then and the time that the framer starts. So don't just have all the lumber brought out there just because your foundation is in and it's ready to be framed. Wait until you know when the framers are going to be there, and get the lumber delivered a couple of days before that, so that it's not sitting out in the weather. Because trust me, clients do not like to see the lumber for their home that is going to be built, that they're going to be living in. They don't want to see that lumber just sitting out in the rain for 3 weeks. Nobody likes to see that. So just a little tip there. So, all right, well that's about all I've got for this video here. I do offer coaching and consulting services. I'll put that information in the details below. Thank you so much for your time and watching this. Take care and God bless.